The White Bear Area Chamber of Commerce and On Location TV 19 are proud to present Your Business Matters, dedicated to your business needs. The White Bear Area Chamber is a nonprofit business organization serving as an advocate for the White Bear area and its business community. Now here is the Executive Director of the White Bear Area Chamber and the host of Your Business Matters, Tom Snell.
Welcome to the White Bear Area Chamber of Commerce program, Your Business Matters. And today, as my special guest, we have Ramsey County Commissioner Victoria Reinhardt, who covers part of White Bear and some other areas within the White Bear area. So thank you, Victoria, for being our guest today on the Chamber program.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Yep. What we're going to do is ask some questions about what's going on in this part of Ramsey County, particularly on a couple of issues, and we'll go through them one by one. One will be what's happening with property taxes. Okay. We'll talk about transportation, then also about some of the innovative things that Ramsey County is doing with recycling and waste reduction issues.
Absolutely.
So those are the issues that we're going to be discussing this morning.
Okay.
But let's start out with one of the primary things that business really looks at, and that's what's happening with the commercial property taxes or taxes as we go into the next tax season with Ramsey County.
Well, we're very proud of the fact that Ramsey County, and I should back up a little bit, I'm chair of the Budget Committee, and
okay.
So personally very proud of that, of the AAA bond rating that we have from both major rating agencies.
That's the highest, isn't it?
That
AAA
is the
highest, okay.
It's higher than the state of Minnesota, it's higher than the federal government. And we've got that, and we have received that now 13 years in a row. And what that talks about is the fiscal management and the sustainability of what we try to do. We do a 2-year budget process, which is very different than most other counties in the state of Minnesota. And we do that because we want to be more in line with the legislative process, their 2-year budget cycle. And much of what we do is we are the implementation arm of the state government. So much of our funding, much of what we do comes through the state and federal government. So what we have done for 2014 and 15 is we have set our maximum levy at 0%. So there will be 0% projected or already certified for 2014, and in 2015 we will go through that budget process again, but we are projecting a 0% levy increase.
Well, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. You
That is very good.
You can't get a lot better than 0.
Well, we can try, and maybe we will, but the fact of the matter is we have invested in Ramsey County. We have received additional funds from the state and federal government. Basically, they're picking up the tab for things that they used to pay for and then pass that on to property tax
What are some of those items?
Well, for example, the Community Corrections Act money. That is for our corrections department. They have provided additional funds there, and Ramsey County is choosing to use those funds for probation officers. At the federal level, much of it is coming through public health. At-home nursing or programs for at-risk youth or teens that are really in trouble, headed down the wrong path. And so, and we also have more funds coming in for roads and transportation, and I know we'll get to that in a little bit.
That's great. That's great. Now, on the budget for Ramsey County, do you have people that are involved at all with the Affordable Care Act, or what some people call, I guess, the term Obamacare?
Yes.
I prefer to use the term Affordable Care Act, but I mean, can you tell me anything about that and what the role that counties might have with that program?
Well, yes, our public health department is very much on top of that, and it will have an impact on Ramsey County and on Ramsey County taxpayers in a very positive way. What our role is really trying to help people get to the services that they need. The new MNsure obviously is something that we will be directing people to, but we project that in Ramsey County, that of those that are eligible for the for MNsure or for insurance, that about half of them will opt to go into that. And I know that half doesn't sound like it's a lot, but when you think about what happens with these folks that don't have insurance, and they end up using emergency room as primary care, they don't go in for preventive care, so the costs are much
Are
higher.
there county taxes that go into paying for any of those medical expenses?
Absolutely, absolutely. Mental health services, you name it. It all comes back to, it does get paid for. And so hopefully we will have more people that will be signing up for insurance, and also some of the other services that are available that they may not be aware of that they are eligible for.
You know, one of the big areas that seems to be a major cost driver is what they call the cost for Medicaid. And Medicaid is a program for people that could be considered what they call indigent, or in certain cases, the elderly that are in nursing homes or long-term care facilities that have spent down their income.
Correct.
Now, will this program have any impact on what the county or state is paying for Medicaid expenses that you know of?
And to be honest with you, I am not sure how much that will impact. I know that it is, because
Okay.
it's kind of a three-legged stool there, where you have Medicaid, Medicare, and then the Affordable Care Act. And what the idea there is that everybody has coverage. And so I'm not sure what the interaction is between
All right.
those.
Now, but what we said is that there'll be the levy is going up 0%.
That's correct.
And we have the insurance issue should help overall with
Yes.
what's going on with budgeting process with Ramsey County. Any other things here locally within the county that people should be aware of that are happening? I know we mentioned transportation, and
Yes.
let's get right into that and discuss a little bit about what's happening with transportation. And I want to mention, before we do that, one of my pet peeves is that it seems that a lot of the transportation money goes to the western suburbs,
Yes.
and it goes to Minneapolis to St. Paul. But the northeast suburbs, we don't seem to get our what we would call, or I would consider, our fair share. And what are we doing to rectify that, and what are some plans that we have?
Well, I would absolutely agree, and we do have the East Metro Transportation Alliance that we're really trying to promote. Commissioner Jim McDonough, who is chair of our Regional Rail Authority, is one of the movers and shakers in that, along with the Chamber of Commerce from St. Paul and a number of business partners that have come together. And commissioners, obviously, and city council mayors from the East Metro. Because you look at the map, and you're absolutely right, most of the investment is in the West Metro. But what we have done is we have elevated, obviously Central Corridor is going to be opening in 2014. We have the Union Depot, which was a federal, state, county collaboration.
Well, those things
And-
are great, but I mean,
well,
it's connecting
but we
St.
have-
Paul and Minneapolis.
Correct. And so what we also have for our area specifically is Rush Line Corridor. And we are moving into, in fact, the RFP was just issued for the pre-project development, where they're going to be looking at 2 different options to figure out the feasibility of them. And we're putting in a request for bonding to actually implement. The 2 options that they're looking at are bus rapid transit between the Union Depot and Forest Lake, and light rail transit between the Union Depot and White Bear Lake. The other corridor that is really increasing in significance is Gateway, and that's basically I-94. And we are moving forward in the environmental impact statement phase of that one. And so there is more movement that is happening. What we need to do, and one of the things that I have said over and over again, is that we need to make sure that, you know, the projects are done as they are ready, but we need to make sure that the East Metro projects are ready. That's what we're trying to do right now. I'm part of the county's Transit Improvement Board. I am an alternate to that now, and have really looked at the investment that has to be made in transit and transportation.
Absolutely.
So we're pushing it forward.
And I want to get, I don't want to get ahead of myself too much here, but one of the things you mentioned is the bus rapid transit program, and that what you said is moving forward, right?
Well, that's what they're looking at. When we did the alternatives analysis, where you're supposed to try to figure out, okay, which route makes the most sense? Because there are things that don't make sense, and you can knock those off. Why do a detailed analysis of something that you know isn't going to work or the ridership isn't going to be there? So the two that came forward as potentially affordable and have the ridership that we need are those two. So now we go in and we say, how much do they really cost? How much do we think we're going to get for that? How would it really work? Would it work? And what we're hoping to do is come out with a locally preferred alternative.
Are they looking at any demographic studies to show, because you know people in this area the population is aging.
Yes.
It's
absolutely.
almost a decade older than it was back in the 1970s.
Yes.
So as that continues, do they look at those types of projects maybe having additional value?
Absolutely. That is part of it. The other part is obviously economic development. Where are the jobs? And other. There are many, many different factors that go into, does it make sense?
Do they look at the possibility that the more transit that we have maybe here means that more people would be working closer to their home and wouldn't have to?
Yes. I mean, that is very true. Okay. We did the demonstration project with an express bus for Rush Line, and we exceeded our expectations as far as the ridership. And in fact, Metro Transit ended up taking over the funding of that because it was the demonstration project was funded by the counties. Because we said there is a demand, we proved it to them, and they said, you're absolutely right.
Now, one of the other things that you brought up in the transportation discussion was that they're looking at a light rail line.
Yes.
Or a commuter rail line, or whatever term you want to use.
Yes.
Now,
well, they're different things, but yes.
Okay, so they're looking at a rail line that would potentially connect White Bear with the
Union
depot in St. Paul, is that correct?
Yes.
And now, there are people that are really supportive of rail, and there are people that don't particularly like it. And I would like to find out, what do you think about rail in general and the potential of having rail in this part of Ramsey County?
Well, in general, the way I look at it is this. We have to have a multimodal regional system. And right now, it's West Metro centric. There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
So we have to have it multimodal. And quite honestly, I don't have a preference one way or the other.
All right.
I want to do what I think will be the most cost effective, that we will get the ridership. I know that rail is, we do have a rail bias here. And we found that with Hiawatha, with North Star, that we do have a rail bias. So I guess, if anything, I would come down on that side, because we know that the people in this area prefer rail to buses. So will they ride it more? And that's what it comes down to, the ridership, the cost, and will it work?
Have there been any studies to show will rail work in this area? I mean, will people take it?
Yes.
Has there been any assessment done?
That was the alternatives analysis that we initially did for Rush Line. Said that these were the two, and rail was one of them. And quite frankly, it kind of surprised me that light rail came out as one of the options, and to White Bear Lake. And so yes, that initial analysis has been done, and now it's time to go more in depth to see what are the costs, what is the projected ridership going into the future.
Okay, and then those things are being done. Now, you mentioned too a Northeast Corridor group.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. Well, there's a gateway, and then there's also a Northeast Corridor group, basically cutting across the upper portion of Ramsey County.
And could you explain a little bit more about the Northeast group? You said it's made up of the St. Paul Chamber and some other
I'm sorry. That's a different, there's a Northeast Corridor, a diagonal corridor.
Okay.
The group that I had mentioned was East Metro Transportation Alliance, Corridors for Opportunity. And that is really something that we have tried to do in the past, and we have had some momentum and are really trying to make a very concerted effort at this point to make sure that it moves forward. So we have the Chamber of Commerce, St. Paul Chamber of Commerce, we have business partners. I know that we have businesses within the White Bear Lake area that are very interested in this issue. We also have the mayor of St. Paul. We have mayors of other communities. When we had a meeting not too long ago at Union Depot, It was pretty amazing actually to see the breadth of who was there and the diversity of who was there, because everybody gets it. It's an economic driver. I just recently did a tour of all of the lines that were out there with CTIB, and it was pretty amazing because I saw Hiawatha when it was just a dream, you know, where it was going to be. And then I saw it when it was first built, and it was like, okay, you know, we've got people riding it. And when I went back just a couple of weeks ago to see the economic development, the millions and probably billions of private dollar investment in that corridor, it is truly an economic driver.
So are there ways if regular, I mean, if citizens want to get involved in the transportation issue, or businesses want to get involved in these different things, can they contact your office, or how would they go about becoming more engaged in those discussions?
Absolutely, they can contact my office. They can go onto the Ramsey Regional Rail Authority site and sign up for you know, notices. If they want to be included in Rush Line specifically, they can sign up for that.
Okay.
And we also, when they do the pre-project development, there are a series of community meetings, and so we hope to spread that word far and wide so that we can get input on what makes sense to people in this area.
Wonderful. What I want to talk about now is what Ramsey County is doing in some of the recycling aspects. And I wanted to bring that up, and we can expand on that discussion, because there are certain tax advantages that businesses have if they can recycle their garbage.
Yes.
And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that and find out if Ramsey County is taking a proactive position and stance on those issues, important in recycling issues.
Absolutely. We have reached out to businesses, to institutions all across Ramsey County to show them how, by reducing the amount of garbage that they produce, that they can reduce their costs significantly. And when you look at places like the St. Paul Public Schools, or especially restaurants and grocery stores, and the amount of organic waste that they have, and we have programs that are food to hogs, and we have all kinds of different advantages and benefits that we can offer specifically to businesses to help them reduce their cost, help the environment, and help their bottom line. We do have, I mean, one thing that we do that is a little bit different also is we really believe that we have to try to make the true cost of garbage and recycling and you know, the environmental management of waste at the end of its useful life, or a product at the end of its useful life. And so we have instituted, instead of just having a flat fee on property taxes where nobody really noticed it or knew what it was about, we have instituted a county environmental charge. And so it is only on the garbage portion of your bill. So if you reduce the garbage portion of your bill,
your taxes go down.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, that's a really good way to do it. So you've got some real movement in that area,
Incentives.
and it's real transparent.
It is, and you know, for businesses, I mean, you get the advantage also of saying how green you are, and clearly that's a selling point for customers
I know our
these
chamber's
days.
involved in that.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah,
so we have a lot of different programs and resources that are available, whether it's a small business, a large business, a school, an institution, or residential. We want to make sure that people understand that there are opportunities to reduce, reuse, recycle, and to reduce the toxicity. And we also want to make sure that the producers of these materials are starting to take more responsibility, such as in the area of electronic waste and now paint waste. So that the producers are much more involved in picking up part of those costs, again, reducing the cost to taxpayers.
that's how you get people to pay attention.
Well, and it's a user fee. I mean, if you're painting your house and you pay a fee that goes to a nonprofit, an industry-run nonprofit, it doesn't go to government, and that takes care of it. That takes care of the end-of-life management. They stepped up to the plate.
And I know that Ramsey County has partnered with a number of business organizations to help spread the word that this is a good way for businesses to save money and
Absolutely.
reduce costs.
And help the
and
environment.
and help the environment all at the same time.
Yes.
I wanted to just kind of end our discussion a little bit with some issues surrounding White Bear Lake. And I know that the county isn't as directly involved in that as maybe the Met Council or some of the others, but I wanted to get your assessment on that issue and if there is anything that Ramsey County is going to be involved in the future in looking at our water table issues in the lake.
Well, actually, as far as the county entity, that's true. I mean, it's Met Council and it's the state legislature that have that ultimate responsibility. But as a county commissioner, I have been very involved. And in fact, I have just been named Conservationist of the Year by the Ramsey Soil and Water Board, Conservation Board,
Great.
because of my work regarding White Bear Lake, working with a lot of other partners, with the Chamber, with Representative McFarland, Bill Foussard, Mayor Emerson, and other mayors in the area. We were part of the ad hoc group that got and kept this discussion going. We elevated it to the state level to say this is an issue with White Bear Lake, but this is an issue across the state. And what you invest in White Bear Lake in the feasibility study, we were very happy to be able to support that and speak to that at the legislature to get that funding in place, will help not only define options for White Bear Lake and bringing that lake level up, but it will also help others. And the bottom line here with the 3 forums, and I of course facilitated the first one of those that we had out at Century College, we talked about the fact that we need to have conservation first, and then we need to look at what are the options to really to help bring the lake level up, but to reduce reliance on groundwater in our aquifers, because it doesn't go back down there as quickly as it comes in, or we take it out. And rely more on surface water. So I think that there are options that will work.
Yep. Now, finally, Commissioner Reinhardt, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they do it?
Well, they can go to the website, and all of my contact information is there, and that's co.ramsey.mn. If they Google Ramsey County, it'll come up.
Okay.
But also, it's my name, Victoria.Reinhardt, Reinhardt, that silent D kind of throws people off, at co.ramsey.mn.us. Or they can call my office directly, 651-266-8363. And I welcome all input. It's as important to me to hear people that are pleased with what I'm doing as it is to hear people saying, hey, what did you think about this? Or don't like what I'm doing and want to provide input, and that helps me make better decisions into the future. So
thank you.
I welcome all input.
Thank you very much for being part of the Chamber of Commerce program, Your Business Matters.
Thank you very much.
You've been watching Your Business Matters. For more information on this program or the White Bear Area Chamber, visit www.whitebearchamber.com or call 651-429-8593.